Now to our other big story of the hour. Former President Donald Trump back in D.C. for a key court hearing.
A federal appeals court is being asked to rule on the Trump team's claim that he is immune from prosecution on charges he plotted to overturn the 2020 election. Our Eric Flack is live down at the federal courthouse. Eric, we just heard the former president speaking. Wanted to get to you to break down some of those details.
Yeah, the former president is making the unprecedented claim that a former president cannot be convicted or charged with any crime related to his time in office unless he is or they are both impeached and convicted by Congress first. Now, this is the second appearance by Trump in a D.C. courtroom on felony charges. He conspired to overturn the 2020 election. A judge has already rejected Trump's immunity claims once, claiming that his time as president did not, quote, bestow on him the divine right of kings to evade the criminal accountability that governs his fellow citizens. But Trump's legal team is appealing the ruling to the D.C. Circuit Court. The case could ultimately end up in front of the Supreme Court. Trump's attorney argued the former president's prosecution sets a dangerous precedent that would allow future presidents to be criminally prosecuted for political reasons. And the former president echoed that message when he met with reporters just a couple moments ago.
They talk about threat to democracy. That's your real threat to democracy. And I feel that as a president, you have to have immunity. Very simple. And if you don't, as an example, if this case were lost on immunity and I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong.
Joined now by WUSA 9 digital investigative reporter Jordan Fisher, who has been covering all this from the start for us. Jordan, the prosecutor in this case, said, no, a president can't just claim immunity, right?
Yeah, what we heard from James Pierce, the assistant special counsel, is essentially that, and what we heard from the circuit, as a matter of fact, is that Trump's argument is essentially that he could sell military secrets, he could sell political pardons, he could even, as one circuit judge asked, send SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. And under his argument, there's no way he could be criminally prosecuted unless, as you said earlier, he was first convicted in the Senate. It's the Justice Department's position that that is absolutely false.
What do you think the judges thought of this? They seem skeptical to me.
They seemed absolutely skeptical, roundly skeptical, deeply skeptical, frankly. And as a matter of fact, they repeatedly pressed John Sauer, who was Trump's attorney representing him here, on the boundaries of what he thought presidential immunity was. And Sauer repeatedly suggested that he thought there essentially were no boundaries. They could barely even get him to concede that in a previous hearing, a different Trump attorney had admitted that the president could be prosecuted at all.
What is the long-term impact on the 2024 election with this case?
What we saw right now in court today is the circuit considering whether they should dismiss it outright. There's some Supreme Court precedent that says that this appeal might not even be appropriate. If they did that, it would get the case back on track. It would get things moving again. Right now, the case itself is stayed while this appeal process is through. But the Justice Department said they didn't want that to happen. They want these questions to get answered. And I think that's because they think eventually, no matter what, it's going to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to take as long as the Supreme Court takes. Obviously, what the Justice Department wants is to get this case resolved prior to the 2024 election so the American public has this information as they go to the voting booths.
And of course, time is running out to do that. We will continue to monitor it. The next step is to wait for this ruling from this appeals court to find out where this case goes from here. Back to you guys in the studio.
Jordan Fisher, Eric Flack reporting live for us this afternoon. Thank you, gentlemen.